The entire galactic economy hinges on a single precious substance. Without the spice melange, all space travel halts. Yet, across the millions of worlds that rely on it, no one actually knows how the spice is created in nature. Baron Vladimir Harkonnen controls the only known source of the spice. Hovering over blinding white dunes in his armored ornithopter, he focuses entirely on illegal accounting, manipulating ledgers and bribing inspectors to hoard a massive surplus far away from the Emperor's eyes. But the desert is volatile. Below one of his most lucrative harvesting operations, his crew detects something impossible: deep subterranean pressure, carbon dioxide, and a sudden pocket of water vapor bubbling up through the arid sand. The pressure violently releases in what the desert natives call a spice blow. The chemical mixture erupts, instantly vaporizing the giant mechanical harvester, its crew, and the entire payload of priceless spice. The Baron's aircraft is nearly swatted out of the sky by the blast wave. As his pilot fights to level out over the crater, the Baron realizes he has zero understanding of the environment he claims to rule. This ignorance is a structural weakness. The most powerful economic engine in the universe rests in the hands of masters who are blindly exploiting a world that can swallow them whole without warning. Far from the brutal sands of Arrakis sits Kaitain, the imperial capital. Here, massive fleets of weather control satellites engineer a flawless, cloudless sky over opulent architecture, ensuring the climate never deviates from absolute perfection. Into this manicured environment walks Pardot Kynes. He is a rugged planetologist accustomed to working on desolate fringe worlds, standing in stark contrast to the heavily decorated, rigid guards of the imperial court. Emperor Elred IX summoned him because he recognizes a looming crisis. This chart traces spice from a single origin. The Emperor fears Harkonnen mismanagement and recurring desert losses make his throne vulnerable. To bypass political gridlock, Elrud names Kynes Imperial Planetologist. His directive is to answer one question: how does the planetary crust produce spice? Elrud is moving beyond simple political threats. He recognizes that no matter how many soldiers he commands, the spice supply will only be secure once he owns the science behind it. On the ocean planet of Caladan, a different kind of preparation is underway. Young Leto Atreides sits in a sweltering theater alongside his parents, Duke Paulus and Lady Helena, watching a violent performance of an ancient tragedy, Agamemnon. During an intermission, Duke Paulus reveals a sudden shift in Leto's life. He is pulling his son out of his comfortable environment and sending him to study for a year on Ix, a highly secretive, machine-focused planet. House Ix is notorious for extreme security. This chart compares them to their manufacturing rival, House Rechace. The Ixians used ruthless industrial sabotage and tightly guarded patents to drive Rechace into economic ruin. Paulus wants Leto to see this paranoid, isolated culture firsthand, to understand the Atreides alternative. While Ix relies on machines and locked doors, the Atreides base their security on the unshakable loyalty of their own people. Sending Leto off-world is a calculated strategic move. By forcing him into an exchange program with the Ixian Prince Romber, the Duke is actively forging interpersonal alliances, proving that human trust is the strongest defense against a treacherous galaxy. These three events on Arrakis, Kaitain, and Caladan unfold in the exact same breath of cosmic time. Driven by his fear of the desert's unpredictability, the Baron begins tightening his authoritarian grip over Arrakis to compensate for the spice he can no longer control. Pardot Kynes arrives to study the dunes, beginning the scientific infiltration that will eventually provide the desert's indigenous people with the tools to reclaim their world. And Leto Atreides steps off-world to cultivate the strategic relationships that will eventually make him a central figure in the Imperial Council of Houses. The Emperor and the ancient ruling houses treat these as standard political maneuvers. They completely miss the systemic shifts happening right beneath their feet. In these three moments, the key players have begun to drift. The Baron's paranoia, Kynes' scientific curiosity, and Leto's focus on human loyalty are the exact pressure points that will soon destabilize the entire galactic order. The Imperium continues to follow its ancient protocols, unaware that these new shifts in resource management and leadership have already made the old way of ruling obsolete.